They're the kings of the sea. They're hungry. They're searching. They can detect prey from miles away. When it's feeding time, there's only one thing for certain. You don't want to be in their way. When sharks attack. Stuart Beach in Martin County, Florida. The beach ranks high on most dangerous lists thanks to well-known shark attacks. Stuart Beach made headlines 6 years ago when 38-year-old kitesurfer Stephen Howard Schafer suffered multiple bite wounds and died. The story begins here. Schafer was about 500 yards offshore when he was attacked. Lifeguard Daniel Lund was looking through his binoculars when he noticed something strange. Lund saw Schafer lying on his kiteboard's large sail. The lifeguard training took over and he sprang into action. Paddling out to the kitesurfer, Lund noticed blood in the water. Schafer screamed he had been attacked by a shark. Lund pulled Schafer onto his board and paddled back as several of the predators circled. Despite Lund's heroic efforts, paramedics could not save the kitesurfer. Schafer suffered 2 shark bites, one to the buttocks and one to the right thigh. Medics found a shark tooth lodged into the victim's femur. Investigators believe an injury to the right hand was a defensive wound, possibly obtained when Schafer tried to fight off the shark. At first, investigators believed multiple sharks attacked the kitesurfer. But after closer examination, investigators concluded the bites, 9 to 10 inches in diameter, most likely came from just one shark. Experts think either a bull shark or a tiger shark to be responsible for the attack. Schafer's death rocked the surfing community. Several days later, a group of surfers paddled out in memoriam of their fallen comrade. Beautiful Makena Beach in West Maui, Hawaii. It's the perfect spot for a kayaking fisherman to try his luck. One kayaker wasn't so lucky. 57-year-old Patrick Briney from Washington State was an experienced angler and new to kayaking in Hawaii. Briney lost his life to what many believe was a tiger shark. The species frequent the area and are sometimes spotted by kayakers. The attack occurred on December 2, 2013, about 1 mile in open ocean, halfway to Molokini, a crescent-shaped, partially submerged volcanic crater. Briney and a friend embarked on a fishing trip early in the morning. The two buddies fished several yards apart, but could still see each other. Briney used artificial lures as bait. Little did he realize his foot, dangling over the side of the kayak, was bait for an even deadlier form of predator. A shark bit his foot, ripping it completely off. Briney's friend attempted to stop the bleeding by applying a tourniquet. He then flagged down a nearby tour boat. The boat raced toward land, but it was too late. Briney's fishing days were over. That year, 8 shark attacks were reported near Maui and 13 statewide. Bill Briney said his brother Patrick was relatively new to kayak fishing in Maui when he died. He remembers his brother as a free spirit who loved the water. Solana Beach, a sleepy town in San Diego County, California, offers some of the most beautiful vistas of the Pacific Ocean. About 12,000 residents call Solana Beach home, among them 66-year-old Dave Martin. It's also home to a dangerous predator, sometimes spotted in these Southern California waters. Our story takes us here, just 150 yards from Tide Beach Park, which is known for its large reef and beautiful tide pools. Dave Martin was a dedicated triathlete who swam with his training group every Friday. The group had been fortunate enough to avoid dangerous encounters in the water during the past 6 years, but that luck was about to run out. Danger lurked in the depths and headed straight for Martin. The shark struck from behind, lifting Martin out of the water. The serrated teeth sliced deep gashes into his legs. He had just enough time to yell "shark" before he was pulled under. Though the great white retreated, the damage was done. The bite shredded the flesh from Martin's upper thigh to lower shin. He quickly lost blood. Two swimmers about 20 yards ahead raced back after hearing Martin scream. They dragged him to shore. A lifeguard attempted to revive him, but it was too late. There would be no more triathlons for Martin. The news of their father's death devastated Martin's children, but they took solace that Martin died doing what he loved, while surrounded by friends in his favorite place. The rocky and magnificent Mendocino coastline in Northern California. Divers come here to hunt for abalone, but for some divers, the hunt for abalone can cost them a whole lot more. Officials believe Randy Fry fell victim to a great white measuring 18 feet long. Our story begins here, Cabasilla Rock in Mendocino County, Northern California. Randy Fry and friends Cliff Zimmerman and Red Bartley discussed the dangers and agreed to keep an eye out for each other. Bartley stayed in the boat to angle for rockfish. For Fry and Zimmerman, their mission was the abalone below. About 15 to 20 feet underwater, neither could see the danger closing in. After a few minutes, the pair came up for air. Zimmerman adjusted his mask while Fry began a new dive. It was Zimmerman who first spotted the great white barreling towards them. But the beast came for Randy Fry, biting off his head. Zimmerman dropped his weight belt and swam for his life. Bartley grabbed his friend. They searched for Fry but couldn't see him. That's when they put out the call. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. The U.S. Coast Guard found Randy Fry's headless body in the ocean a day later. And 3 weeks later, a beachcomber a few miles south would make a gruesome discovery. Zimmerman said Randy Fry had a premonition he might lose his life to a shark. He said his friend truly loved the ocean and died doing the thing he loved most. They're the stuff of nightmares. Scary, frightening. They loom large in our imagination. But this isn't some Hollywood fairy tale. These jaws, this devoured flesh, are all real. And when one comes for you, there's just no escaping. When sharks attack. Scenic Pohaku Park in Maui, Hawaii. The ideal spot for surfers. And an ideal hunting ground for this dangerous predator. Maui resident Willis McInnes would discover this for himself one fateful morning. Officials believe the Vietnam veteran lost his life to a tiger shark, a species notorious throughout Hawaii. The attack happened just 300 yards from the shores of western Maui, near the town of Kahana. McInnes rose early to catch some morning waves. But the water was murky brown from runoff that day, making it hard to see what dangers lurked below. A shark took a huge chunk out of McInnes' right leg. It was a classic hit-and-run attack, when a shark mistakes its victim for another prey and retreats after taking a single bite. The bite measured 14 inches across McInnes' right upper thigh. Fellow surfer Roger Coombs tried to rescue the bleeding McInnes by pushing him back to the shore atop his board, but it was too late. McInnes had caught his last wave. In the days after his death, locals put a white cross on a bench overlooking the ocean and covered it with flowers. A fitting tribute for an avid surfer. Avila Beach, a charming seaside town on the central coast of California. People come here for an idyllic weekend getaway. The salt in the air, maybe a swim with the seals. The seals are what drew this unlucky swimmer to Avila. And seals likely cost Deborah Franzman her life at the jaws of a terrifying great white shark. Our story takes place here on a summer day in California. As luck would have it, more than 25 lifeguards were competing in the regional Central Coast Lifeguard Championship. Deborah Franzman took to the water for a routine morning swim while her partner and their 2 dogs waited. The ocean was full of seals feeding on sardines, but that didn't bother Franzman. She had always enjoyed swimming with the seals. But the fun encounter would soon turn disastrous. A hungry great white mistook Franzman for a seal and ambushed her. From the beach, witnesses could see the seal suddenly scatter. Then a dorsal fin appeared, and Franzman was pulled underwater. The shark attacked from below. It bit Franzman's right leg and tore most of the tissue from her left thigh. 4 lifeguards watching the competition heard screams for help. They raced down to the pier and dove into the water. They had no idea what they were looking for until they found Fransman's body floating in the ocean. Seeing bite marks, the lifeguards realized the danger they were in. They worked quickly to get Fransman out of the water. Efforts to revive Fransman failed. The shark severed her femoral artery and vein. She was pronounced dead at the scene. A devoted mother to her son, Fransman died doing what she loved. She loved swimming with the seals. Idyllic Palaua Beach. In Maui, it's also known as White Rock Beach, and it's popular with locals and tourists alike. Tourists like Jana Luderop, a 20-year-old German au pair who worked in Seattle. On August 14, 2013, Luderop was at the start of a 3-week dream Hawaiian vacation. Scheduled to return to Germany the following month, she would never make it home. Although unconfirmed, a tiger shark is believed to be responsible for the attack on Luderop's life. Just before 5 p.m., she was snorkeling about 50 yards from the beach. The water choppy, the visibility low. She would have never seen the threat coming. The tiger shark attacked swiftly and without mercy, biting off the young woman's arm. The limb gone, would Luderop's life soon follow? Two men on the beach, Rick Moore and Nicholas Grisafi, heard cries for help. They saw blood in the white water. Moore, a California schoolteacher, jumped into the water without hesitating. As he approached, he could see a young woman floating on her back, her arm missing. Moore pulled Luderop through the strong currents. Danger still lurked all around them. Grisafi helped Moore bring the victim to shore. But would their efforts be enough? Luderop suffered the loss of her right arm below the shoulder and lacerations to her right foot. She would fight for her life for a week before finally succumbing to her injuries in hospital. Rick Moore and Nicholas Grisafi said they did all they could to help save Luderop, including putting aside their own fears of one of the ocean's most vicious predators. This beautiful cove in Hawaii is the location of the last known fatal shark attack in the United States. The attack took place at Kanahena Cove on April 29, 2015. The victim, a 65-year-old retiree who had settled in Hawaii to enjoy year-round beautiful weather and activities such as snorkeling. Although not confirmed, the likely predator was a tiger shark. This species is commonly found in Hawaii and can weigh up to 1,400 pounds and measure 15 feet long. Margaret Cruz had been snorkeling in the early morning hours along with two friends. At some point, she became separated. This wasn't unusual. Cruz was an excellent swimmer who was in the water almost every day. But this day would be her last. A fierce shark attacked the retiree. Cruz attempted to fight off the predator until she passed out. Two snorkelers found Cruz face down in the water. The snorkelers were about 200 yards off the shore, and they pulled Cruz back to the beach. Rescue personnel performed CPR but were unable to revive the woman. Cruz's brother said she suffered bite marks to her face, upper torso, and arm, which was nearly severed. Originally from California, Cruz is remembered as a nature lover who was aware of its dangers. Her friend said she wasn't afraid of anything in the ocean, not even one of its most dangerous predators. They are out there, lurking, beneath the water, the threat ever present, one of the deadliest predators the world has ever known. Few think it could happen to them. Few believe they could ever fall prey. Some are lucky to escape with a lost limb. Others lose so much more when sharks attack. The Outer Banks of Avon, North Carolina, a scenic stretch known for its green bottle-colored waters and sandy beaches. But for a Russian couple spending a relaxing weekend away, the waters quickly turned red. Experts believe the two were bit by a tiger shark, a deadly predator often spotted in the area. The attack occurred near Cape Hatteras National Seashore, North Carolina, roughly 30 to 40 feet from shore. Having rented a cottage over Labor Day weekend with three friends, the couple, engaged to be married, went for an evening dip. They were reported to be the last people seen swimming that day. Roughly 6 feet deep in water, Sergei swam just in front of Natasha, parallel to the shore. Though they were only about 2 feet apart, that small gap of space between them was enough room for something sinister to come between them. Suddenly, Natasha felt a sandpaper-like sensation on her body. A creature had grazed her from behind. She tried pushing it away. But when she realized it was a shark, she and Sergei swam fiercely for shore. Sadly, they could not outswim the wrath of the beast. The shark bit Natasha on her left buttocks. Seconds later, the shark bit Sergei on the backside of his right thigh, severing an artery in his leg. The two continued to head for shore, but the shark was relentless, ripping off Natasha's left foot and the tip of the middle finger on her left hand. Blood spreading through the waters, their friends saw them and dragged them to land. Though bystanders tried to apply pressure to their wounds, Sergei went into cardiac arrest and slipped out of consciousness for good. Only a day earlier, a 10-year-old boy was also the victim of a shark attack just 130 miles up the coast near Virginia Beach. After several surgeries and being fitted with a prosthetic foot, Natasha is walking again, forced to forge ahead without the love of her life. Surf Beach at Vandenberg Air Force Base in Southern California, a paradise on Earth. Home to this endangered bird, the snowy plover, but also home to a far more dangerous creature, the great white shark, which can weigh up to 4,000 pounds. For this avid surfer, Surf Beach may as well have been a second home. Javier Solorio Jr. had been coming to Surf Beach since he was a young boy. But on a crisp October morning, he would ride the waves at Surf Beach for the last time. Solorio and a friend paddled out as they had done many times before. Experts now say a great white shark may have mistaken Solorio for prey. To a great white, the movement of surfers when they paddle out can make them look like a sea lion. For Solorio, this resemblance would prove fatal. A great white leapt from the water and bit into Solorio's torso and surfboard. The husband and father to 2 young daughters barely stood a chance. Solorio's surfing buddy rushed to his aid. On the beach, responders performed CPR. But it wasn't enough to save him. Solorio died at the scene. After the attack, experts examined the bite marks on Solorio's surfboard. Based on the distance between teeth marks, they estimated the great white that attacked Solorio to be about 16 feet long. After his death, Solorio's friends and family honored him in a ceremony performed at sea, a perfect tribute for a man who passionately loved surfing and the ocean. A memorial stands on the edge of a cliff overlooking this popular surf spot. It was here, off the shore of Western Australia, at a place known as the Dolphins near Wedge Island, just 85 miles north of Perth, that 24-year-old surfer Ben Linden, also known as Big Red, caught his last wave. Linden and pal Ryan Solis were surfing about 100 yards out when they noticed a great white shark below. The two began paddling for the shore. The shark surfaced next to Solis, but then changed course and headed for Linden. Linden knelt on his board and kicked at the shark, but it was the shark that got the last bite. Solis was pushed towards the shore by a small wave. As he looked back, helpless, he saw the shark circling the lifeless body of his friend. By chance, 2 men who were using a jet ski to tow each other into the surf saw the attack. Matthew Holmes, driving the jet ski, came to aid Ben, who was lying lifeless on his board. But as Holmes tried to reach for the surfer, the shark grew protective of its prey. Holmes circled around in the jet ski and attempted the rescue again, but the shark grabbed Ben and swam away. Experts believe Ben Linden was attacked by a great white shark measuring around 15 feet long. The shark was last seen swimming past Holmes with its mouth closed. Ben's body was never found. It took 1 year for the coroner to rule on Linden's cause of death. His friends and family still visit his memorial on special occasions. Safety in numbers. When taking to the waves, better to go in pairs or a small group than surf alone. Yet when sharks attack, survivors are often left wondering why fate spared them and why they should be so lucky when their friend was not. Our story begins here on Surf Beach, where waves can reach 6 to 8 feet high. The spot is also known locally for sightings of great white sharks. In fact, Lucas Ransom joked about sharks the night before his fatal attack. Friend Matthew Garcia says he'll forever remember the day. He remembers Ransom surfing barrel after barrel. Garcia was just 2 feet away from his friend when fate would separate them forever. Just as Ransom caught a wave, Garcia saw something in the water. Ransom's last words before disappearing underwater were, "Help me, dude." As the color red clouded the water, reality made itself known. One of the fiercest predators the world has ever seen had taken Lucas Ransom while sparing Garcia. Garcia attempted to perform CPR on the water, hoping against hope that there might still be a chance. But after getting his friend ashore, Garcia could plainly see what the world had lost. The great white that attacked Ransom was estimated to be 18 feet long. Police patrolled the beach in search of the surfer's missing leg, but it was never found. Friends remember Ransom as wild and crazy, the type of person who celebrated life. For Matthew Garcia, the memory of his friend in his final moments is not one he'll soon forget.